to post the terms of engagement in the chat in just a moment. Um, we are trying a handoff at our meetings. So if you want to, oh, sorry. If you want to, I don't know what I'm doing. If you want to share, you can use the raise hand function. And when you're done, you can hand it off to the next person. And if you don't know who's next, you can just say who's next. And I'm the moderator today, and I can help guide you, or the person who's next can just kind of jump in. If you want to change the subject, you can raise your hand. But if you want to weigh in, you can just type weigh in the chat, and we'll kind of see how that goes. And so, yeah, we're trying the handoff thing, and it's going pretty well so far. So we've been trying to do that at all our meetings. But sometimes, like, I'm done talking and I forget, and that's okay. Don't worry about it if you forget, because there's lots of buttons and lots of things happening. So we're like in full swing here at Bright and Dark. It's kind of like it's almost like the beginning, but we have way more like information, and things are like set up like we just have more like stuff set up. So it's been really cool. We're welcoming like a group of new witches in. That's been very exciting. Everybody here, I think, has pretty much signed up, but basically, we were using our old platform, and everyone's been canceled off of there. And unfortunately, we weren't able to like transfer through the electronically. So everyone has gone to our website, brightanddark.org, and signed up. Now, all existing members received a special link to sign up. And so that's through your email. So you won't see that on the website, just because there's a bit of that price difference. So just make sure you use the link in your email. And if you need it again, just let me know. I'm happy to send it out. You can either just send me an email at support@brightanddark.org. One date that is coming up, and like I said, I think everybody here is pretty much signed up for what they want, but we have our Broombox deadline coming up. So our Broombox cycle runs from the 17th of the month to the 16th. And then at about the 20th, 21st, Kim packages them all and sends them out for the next month. And we do it like that to ensure that everyone across the United States gets their boxes on time. And sometimes we have international boxes. So that's why we like to send them out early. We do encourage you, like I always rip my box open as soon as I get it and grab the bracelet. But we like to, encourage you to kind of finish out your month with your workbook. So it seems we've had great feedback and reviews of the workbook so far. And that workbook's going to come in 3 parts, like beginning of the month, mid, and now we're going to get our 3rd installment at the end of the month. And that's going to kind of wrap up the moon focus. And then at the first of the month, we then go ahead and jump into the next month. So we encourage you to kind of, finish out the month. And before you like dive into the next month, but I know sometimes it's hard. It's hard for me. So I'm trying to, I'm looking for feedback. I made a post in the general channel. It's always on my mind, like how to help people navigate the program, because we have so many offerings. And so if it's on your heart or your mind to give some feedback just about like anything about your experiences, how it's going, what advice you might give to new members, or how do you think it would be easier to like navigate all of the things? Because as you know, we want to make sure that, for all of the, that we just cover all areas. So it's easy for people to understand. And we want to be able to provide information in different ways. Yes, because we're all a little neurospicy. So, yes. So the only, just as a recap, the one like kind of time, the two timelines that we have is if you haven't signed up for your broom box and you want the November box, you got to sign up by midnight on the 16th. And if you haven't re-signed up for foundations and you want to do that, please do that by Halloween. And take it away, Jen Marie.
Ta-da. I love that. So with the workbook, right, and these sections, what Maria's talking about, the closure part of foundations that we've added and kind of highlighted, that's one of the big changes that we made to foundations in general. That is one of the things that turns this into a long form spell because it gives you that closure and focus. And the third part of the workbook is walking you through what a transition ritual is. And uh, it's important for you as a witch to focus your attention on what it is that you're doing, right? And we tend to want to go like 4 or 5 steps ahead because most of us are like overachievers and like to plan things and everything. So that is why things are timed the way that they are, is to keep you focused at the task at hand and give your system time to process all of this information, okay? So I know it's really hard, but I promise you that it's worth it. That used to be one of my like big pet peeves about initiatory traditions is because they required you to do things like you have to practice this specific meditation for exactly 3 weeks before you can move on to the next thing. And it would frustrate the shit out of me because I am someone who graduated high school at 15 years old because like a teacher told me I couldn't do it kind of a thing. So and one of the I just like I'm a quick study and I go for it. But this is different. This is internal work. We're not just gaining knowledge. We're actually creating this internal wisdom. Does that make sense? And so that's why it's so important to just stay focused on what we're working on. And yeah, I love that we're figuring out new and different ways of reining in our beautiful neurodivergent minds. It's like, here's a coloring book. Stay focused right here, guys.
And I
Uh,
just wanted to add just a reminder about the meeting. So this is SASS Mass. It's open to everyone and it's posted publicly, so you can be on or off camera. Our sacred space meetings are just for foundations members. Those are no longer recorded, but we're now offering 3 different meeting times and they're all up on the calendar. Our witch work circle is going to stay at the 21st of the month, but that one is recorded for our spellcraft, so you can always catch the replay on that. So just and our calendar, I love our new calendar because it converts into everyone's time zone, and that's so exciting.
that's been a thing that has traditionally, for the last 2 years, been like a thorn in Maria's side is the whole like time zone thing. Because she's the one that's always telling people and reminding people what time zone they're in and everything. So I think that's hilarious. Um,
I now though feel like I'm an expert on time zones. Like if you tell me what state you're in, like I know your time zone.
the reason that we decided to stop recording sacred space meetings is because of how personal they are. These meetings are where we are being our most vulnerable selves, right? And so by increasing the options of meeting times and days, it allows you guys to be able to actually attend in person, which is so important. It's so important that you guys have that support and are able to talk about your experiences and practice sharing and talking through your experiences. The sacred space meetings are where that like community starts, right? That where you get to practice being vulnerable with other people in safe space. And the reason that the witchwork circles are recorded is because solitary practitioners are valid, right? Not everyone is going to uh, be aligned with practicing magic in a group setting. Some practitioners prefer to come to the witchwork circle and witness or watch the recording and witness and do it on their own time so that they can stay like completely focused on what they're doing, and that's valid. You have that option. And so that's why that's done in that way. And again, if you guys ever have any questions about why we do things, please feel free to reach out. We're like super geeks about like this. So all of us that are in the support team, like this is our jam, and we like to share with you guys why we're doing the things that we're doing. And we like to be questioned. Hashtag not a cult. All right. So, man, this for me, this last week has been energetically a wild fucking ride. I like the last 3 days specifically, right during this, like, eclipse time, to say that I was tired, like, isn't the right word for it. Uh, it felt like my physical body and energetic body were processing an entirely new experience, right? And that part of me was still in the old reality and coming into the new reality, and I had to, like, give myself time to make that transition. That's the best way for me to describe what my experience has been over the last, like, few days. Um, and there is this, like, clarity about it, though, right? Um, it feels like this new space is like more real. Does that make sense? More authentic, more aligned to the point that, uh, and this is something I've been talking about for the last few months, and what I've been picking up on is that there's this collective choice point, this tipping point, this time that we collectively and as individuals need to make a decision about what we want to participate in, and that what we choose to participate in is what this like new reality is going to be made up of. And the m- I'm going off on this. I was not expecting this. It's really heavy on me though, of like the importance and how much power you actually have, and how much your just decision, you making a decision about your attention and your time, has an impact on every system in the world. And our social conditioning tells us otherwise, but we are more connected than we can possibly imagine. I'm still figuring out new ways that we are connected. And I love these meetings like SASS where we get together and actually get to talk about our collective experience and what we as witches are picking up on. What are we picking up on in the collective flow? What is your experience of the last like few days? I almost wish that a part of me wishes that I would have held off and just asked you guys first and heard yours and then shared mine, so I didn't, like, influence your, experience, but man, I'm so almost, like, overwhelmed by it. It's all my, like, system wants to communicate about. It's like, the choice. Where the moment is here, kind of a thing. Does anyone want to share what they've been experiencing and what you've been like, how you've been interpreting your experience over the last few days? I know I'm not the only one. I know it. That there's like this deep sense of knowing that this is the thing. Go ahead.
Am I up? Was I the first one up? Okay. I can put my hand down so I remember. Um, man, this eclipse was so cool to me. I just have to talk about the eclipse because the last time there was an eclipse, we just moved back from Oregon to Utah, and I was still kind of figuring things out and really hadn't I hadn't started shadow work, but hadn't really done a whole lot. And I was learning about energy and learning about all that, and but really hadn't gotten a good grasp of it. Like I feel like I have a decent grasp right now. And with all the shadow work I've been doing this year, with everything and all the energy that I've been feeling, I've been kind of coming to this conclusion that most of my life, I feel like I must be. So I learned, so this year, just for clarification, I learned that I am definitely ADHD. I just learned I have a math dyslexia issue that my kids have, so I'm putting all these dots and connecting things together. I'm like, how did I function how did I learn how to function? Like all of these things how did it go unknown until now? Like, how did I not know? And so, as I've been uncovering all this shadow work and all of this, all of these different points that I still, it dawned on me, I'm like, I think that I must have been channeling my guides for a good majority of my life. Like, I think I just naturally lean in and channel my guides. And I'm like, because I'm so ADHD, I put something down, I turn around, I forget it's there. And I'm like, how do I even function? And I think because in the back of my mind, I have these little voices telling me, oh, hey, if I go back and I stare at this cupboard long enough, I'm like, why was I here? Why did I walk into this room? And I've got this little voice that chimes in and goes, oh, this, like I'll have a keyword that pops up. I'm like, oh yeah, duh, that. But I think that that's a channeling of like I'm channeling my spirit guides and all these different things. So during the eclipse, it was so fascinating to me because it really felt like, those dimmer switches. The more the sun was covered, the more that dimmer switch seemed to be put down. And I really felt like I know I put it in the Facebook page, but it felt like Superman when the kryptonite shows up. But I'm like, I have like no power. I felt like completely drained of anything energetic wise. And it really felt like, I'm like, man, like I couldn't feel, like normally I can feel the people or animals or anything around me. Like I can feel it like in my energy flow, like I can feel them. And I'm really not aware that I'm feeling them until suddenly I can't. And I'm like, I can't feel anything. And like my animals got really cranky and snappy with each other. And like it wasn't very long that the eclipse was fully covered. And I couldn't tell exactly because we had a cloud cover, but man, it's like I felt like the only way I could describe it is like Superman with like kryptonite around his neck, going like I can't even like nothing. Like I couldn't get any feeling in. Energetic readings, I guess, is kind of what I. So it was, yeah, it was bizarre for me, and so it's exciting for me to understand that that's what I've been doing this whole time, because it takes that contrast of not having it at all. I'm like, is this how normal people feel? This is weird. I'm like, how do they function? So anyway, that's my tidbits, and I was just excited to share it. So yeah, anyone else can go. It looks like, is it Valerie? Were you next?
Hey everyone. Yeah, no, it's been really weird, and I'm a beginner, so weird. I noticed that this week it was like from the beginning toward the end of the week, it was like a big lead up, and then around starting on Thursday and all through Saturday, it's just I don't know what aligned and how it works, honestly, but it made me tie up so many loose ends, and it like violently forced me to. And not only spiritually, not only emotionally, but also just financially and physically. It just made me resolve so many outstanding issues and problems that I was kind of just pushing back, not looking at. Also ADHD, so forget they're there. And now, yeah, it just the past 3 days I was just forced to kind of face them, and it's been extremely stressful. But it also kind of after the eclipse, like I'm just feeling this like winding down energy now. I don't know if any of that made sense, but yeah, that was something like that.
Ta-da!
I love you, Kat.
So yeah, I forgot completely that there was an eclipse going on. So I was kind of put off by the sudden loss of energy that I was having. It just kind of went down to the point where I was just so drained and so unfocused. And so all of the feelings, I just couldn't function for one day at all. I was trying to focus on my job at work, and it wasn't happening, and I fell behind. Fortunately, I had an extra half hour that day because I chose to stay late because they were letting me go a half hour early the next day. And the difference in energy and focus was just astounding. Like I barely got what I needed to get done in 8.5 hours versus the next day I got all of my stuff done and I was able to finish my training in 7.5. So it was just like boom, there's my energy the next day and I got it all done and then some. So it was pretty amazing. And I was just like, wow, this is just like really eye-opening as to how much I'm actually solar powered. I mean, I've always known it, but it was just a really sharp contrast in just one day. And the weather hadn't changed. It was all about that sun and the eclipse. So it was just kind of, it was really amazing. Jen Marie? You have to unmute, honey.
Isn't that great? See, I hope that this is incredibly validating to all of you that forget to unmute because I've been literally doing this how many times a week for the last 2 fucking years, and I still forget to unmute all the time. Anyway, you guys want to know what I did on Friday at like the height of this like deeply exhausted, not really disconnected, but like mm, I don't think I'm ever numb, but it was just like this like really weird, different shift that was like going on in the last like 3 days, which is today is completely different. Anyway, I was doing my very first in-person local group discussion on like witchcraft at this like oddity shop here in Alaska. And so here when was feeling my absolute lowest that I've felt in a really, really long time, um, which I was like, when I read into my system before going, because I almost backed out, because usually when my system's really tired, it's asking me to just like rest and to like turn inward. But I was getting this insistence that this uh this was important, that it was aligned for me to be exactly as I am right then and go to this first local thing. And nobody knew. I mean, they kind of, some of them kind of had an idea of who I am and what I do and all of that. And I but it was like I was so like off my game, what I would consider off my game. And the feedback that I've gotten so far from it was that it was really great. And sorry, my phone's freaking out. That it was like really great. And that told me and gave me so much validation and so much confirmation that facilitating these group discussions, these like radically inclusive group discussions among magical practitioners is important and is absolutely in my path and a part of my path, because it doesn't matter where I am energetically. It is what I'm doing, like it's a part of my nature, I guess. And it felt really good. Like I'm excited to like see what unfolds with this. This local gathering thing is so highlighted. I'm just really excited about it. But yeah, that was an interesting experience that I wanted to share with you guys. So weird. Life is weird. Fucking love it. I love that I get to be weird with you guys. Anyway. Ta-da! Does anyone else want to? We don't have to continue on this topic. We can talk about anything. Lopezi. If you're saying, hey, you did great, who's this? I don't mean to call you out. I forget that you might be very new to this group and Shayna, hi, Shayna is the very gifted palm reader that I've been talking to you guys about. So that's who Lopezi is. So Shayna owns the oddity shop that hosts the community discussion. And it's been so wonderful to watch her on this journey, because this has been such an intuitive thing for her to start doing. And it's been really great. I'm again excited about that. And she's shy, guys, so you guys can I can stop talking now. I love the silent moments. Is everyone just typing and saying hi? Pretty much. Okay. If I keep talking, I'm going to keep talking about Shayna. And she's probably not going to appreciate that much.
Hi. I actually have something to say.
Oh, get it.
Because we were talking about how we have a tendency to want to jump ahead with our boxes and things like that. And I wanted to weigh in on that. I am actually quite the opposite. I, especially with the way I work and adjusting to my new schedule, I have been feeling really tired lately. So I have a tendency to put off those workings until I have a little bit more energy to do them. So I actually have a few spell crafts that are sitting undone, some work that is undone, waiting for that moment where I get the energy to do it. And I'm just curious if anybody else is in the same boat I'm in, where I'm just like a little behind on all that stuff, which is okay because you're supposed to be able to really feel into it and to be able to do it. And doing it on myself is fine. But I'm just curious who else is experiencing that as well. Ta-da.
I can wait first, and I know Karen and I were just working some stuff out yesterday about what went with what goes where. So
Yes, so that I could put the contents of each of the broom box into Ziploc gallon-sized bags. So, and then this morning, Kim was sweet enough to take the time and tell me which random bottles of oils went with which boxes and stuff because they got kind of separated, because I got a dog and boxes fall over. And so if anybody has missed, we can get together in the cafe. We have the wishing moon. That was the bees candle that we went through there. We have the patient moon. We have refining moon. Oh, that was an abundance candle I didn't get to. Think I ordered that. Jim would have to tell me when sometime it was cold before. So last winter. And this one that was a living moon. That was the big mystery one yesterday because I couldn't. Don't shame yourselves. Just find time to do it. It wasn't time. My guides didn't. That's just how I'm feeling into it. It wasn't time for me to do it, but I'm a little closer to doing it now because they're compartmentalized and that just works better for me. Thanks, guys.
So if I've missed the few that I have missed, I often find that I don't go back. I just kind of keep moving forward, which is actually what I like about the foundations and how it's set up is that I know I can just keep moving forward and I'll come back to it. And so I don't worry or stress about like missing anything because I feel like whatever I'm supposed to learn, I will because that's kind of how I set that relationship up. When I've missed, I've either used ingredients from other spellcrafts in future spellcrafts, or I might do the spellcraft alone, but I just will take the ingredients and I'll put the intentions of the moon cycle, whatever moon cycle we're working on, because I I feel like that you have I'm sorry, like I can't apparently talk in sentences today. I don't really know why, but I can't. So it's taken me a long time to say things. So thank you for your patience. I know that you're all understanding. I just felt the need to say that I can't speak. Oh, I think I made my points. I either use them in different things or I will see if I feel like it's aligned with the month that I'm in, that maybe I'll choose to do it, but my intentions are going to be aligned with that moon focus. But a lot of times, honestly, I've just waited till the month pops up again, and then I've like maybe just incorporated it all into like what we were doing for that month. So I feel like you, even though the foundation, this is just my perception, like even though we're giving you like this guidance and it's a little bit of like witchcraft 101 because there are people, that are like seasoned witches here. There are people that are brand new to witchcraft. But I like the flexibility of like I have this guidance. I feel like um I still have the flexibility to also make it my own, and that's why I like it. So I feel like you could make it your own. Like you could even just have like one night of spellcrafts. If you wanted to. You can it's your box, it's it's yours. And so you can do almost like a way to kind of figure out what your style is, what your practice is. Because you're getting a foundation here, but like what will you do from here? So goodbye. Who's next? People. Oh my gosh. I promise you that all I've had was a sandwich and a coffee. I have not taken anything else. It looks like we got some hands up. I know Jen Marie's got a weigh in, and then I know Alicia's got her hand up too. So Jen Marie, we'll go with your weigh in.
So, Karen, people, if you don't do your spellcrafts and you have a bunch of supplies, that is how you get a closet of wonders and get to the point where you can be like, I'm kind of feeling like I should do a spellcraft for supporting this blah 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 part of my practice. And you open your cabinet and you've got like bits and baubles of all kinds of things. They don't have to stay together. They can become the beginnings of your magical, like witchy cabinet of supplies. So that you can, one of my favorite things is when people come over to my house and are like, I'm going through this, and this. Can you help me out? And I can be like, let's go into my office and open my door. And I have the things to do like anything, just about anything. I've got the supplies to like do something cool. Uh, and I think that it feels so empowering to like be able to do that. I can remember uh when I moved to Alaska, and when I moved up here, I minimized down to 2 suitcases. So sold off everything. All I had was 2 suitcases of stuff. And I walk into my mama's house, and she had a an herbal cabinet that is a like witch's dream. You could make any kind of tea for anything. If you had the understanding of herbalism, there was something in this cabinet. And that just, it felt so powerful in like the funniest, witchiest way. So feel free to collect. Like there's a reason why you're collecting jars too, guys. And good boxes. Maria, is your hand still up or is it Alicia?
Sorry, Alicia.
I'm trying to get in the habit of making sure I put my hand down now because I always forget to. Um, I just wanted to chime in and say so it's kind of along similar lines. And hi, Kat, it's good to see you again. I finally got the opportunity to download and print out the workbook, and oh my gosh, I love it. I have loved the program. The program has been so amazing, but this just takes it this extra step, and I didn't know what it was missing until I got it. I'm like, oh my word, yes, yes, this is so good. Yes, now I'm really gonna have to harp on my sister. Like, you have to come back and do this now, because now it's like it's been perfected. It's like, yeah, no, I love it, and I wrote so much more. And a quick question: I had to miss both sessions on Saturday for the Sacred Space. Is there another one coming up, or did I miss them all? And how does that work? I don't remember, but anyway, loved it, and yeah, I can't wait for the rest because fantastic. And you really did write a book for each one of these, Jen. This is amazing. Anyway, yeah, so if I can get some direction on that Sacred Space for this month.
So the Sacred Space meetings have already happened, but there is the Sacred Space chat that you can share your experience, and all of us can like weigh in and help you out there as well if you're open to that. So you still can get that that community support if you miss a meeting and work through it. Uh, so I think that's where we are so far with that. But next month we're going to have more meetings. So this month we only had 2 options. Next month will be 3, and as more of our graduates feel called to help facilitate these meetings, we will have more options. So I just realized that I ended that with so, and that's not really a way to like let people, that's not good communication.
So like today,
Ta-da!
yeah, today is a day for new broom questions, like foundations questions. We've had a group of new people join, which is very exciting. And the new website is a little bit different, just where you need like a code to get to the members area, and people have had a little trouble navigating it. I also had a little trouble navigating it. So just shoot an email to support at Bright and Dark. But everything is also like cross posted in our Teams environment. And our Teams environment is really where we kind of connect, and all announcements are posted, meetings are posted. So if you are looking to do the thing, you'll want to make sure you're in our Teams. And if you're not and you need help, email support at brightanddark.org. But it's a great time to join just because like I feel like this that excitement like the first time when there was like a bunch of people had come in, and we've had just like periods of times where like kind of groups, clusters kind of come in together, and that's really exciting. So also don't feel bad about asking questions. Don't hesitate to ask questions about teams, the website, what supplies, anything. Just don't hesitate. We're here to help. We love helping. We really do. So don't feel bad about or hesitate to ask anything that you may need support with. We are here to help you. We want you to feel comfortable to like start your journey here. And so, and it's really important to me that like if you need like an organizer or like a scheduler, I'm your witch. So just let me know.
Can I just pop
Time
in,
feels.
Maria? Through say
Wait, what was that? Whoever. Oh, Alicia, go ahead.
no, I
wasn't
was just
really saying anything.
a funny comment. I was just telling Maria that's a dangerous thing to offer. I think most of us need help scheduling things.
I actually love doing it. So of course I can only, I can help so far, and then got to figure out your unique way of how to make it like work for you. But actually, like if I could do that full, I don't know, so I saying that like why am I not doing that full time? But yeah, it's not like it just like my brain just organizes things, so it's like fun for me. I know that it just is.
I I love that this comes up because it's a really good point. Everyone that's on the support team so far at the resource center are doing the thing that they love to do, right? We really, really try to make it to where none of us are doing anything that we like hate doing. We're not in resistance to anything. So it makes it to where what we are doing is this like we're super into it and it's really great. It's really great. And the more we grow and as far as witches that have gone through the foundations and everything and feel are starting to embrace their calling and are starting to remember who they are and starting to like cultivate a relationship with their magic and their calling, we're able to support and figure out like how do we as a community of witches uh live, do life together, right? What does real support look like? And I mean, what I've watched over the last 2 years has given me so much hope. Um, is literally my life's work and like lifelong dream and passion to actually experience like unconditional love in a community. And I've actually been able to see that. I've actually been able to see firsthand what's possible when you have the support that you need, when you are seen and validated and are allowed to be clumsy and loved through that. I mean, that is just like, man. And one, it's funny, the convergences when the group of witches that are called to go to the convergences that we have, uh, we like change the environment when that many of us that are sincerely present in our magic and our path get together in the same space. Like shit is fucking weird and in the coolest way. Uh, but to be able to just be unapologetically fucking magical and all of the shit that entails, like, you know, uh it's so great. It feels good. It feels like rest and peace. Um, and man, it's just the beginning. And I'm like, it's not dumbfounded, but the more I allow myself to explore this flow that we're in collectively, the more I'm just like, holy shit, what are we doing? And what kind of impact is this going to have on the world if witches on a big scale like this remember who they are and remember their connection? Like, shit. Holy shit is all like that's what I have in the back of my head all the time. Like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. Um, so go ahead, Karen. Tag you're it.
Actually, Alicia, you had to weigh in. Hop in there, hon.
Oh, thanks. Were you going to change the subject a little? Okay.
I never know where the fuck I'm gonna go. Let's be honest.
I was just going to say, just a little tidbit from the convergence. I have never, that I can remember in my recollections, ever felt so unapologetically accepted for anything I did, anything I said, anything about me. I felt so at ease. Now I'm gonna cry. The last time I remember feeling that way was like when I was 6 or 7, and I told some of the witches as we were leaving in the car, the same thing. But I just wanted to let you know, to those of you who organized it, I have never felt so unapologetically allowed to be me in any aspect, and it was so refreshing and so amazing and so empowering. I mean, it was just incredible. So thank you from the very bottom of my heart for all of you who organized it and showed up. That's all I was going to say, so thank you.
I'm balling. I wasn't even there. But I was at the first, and you always remember your first. The feeling that I probably said about every 100 miles on the way home between Madonna and I, how do we keep this feeling alive? How do we keep it going between us? How do we keep it generating this feeling? Because the mundane world tends to smack and suck it right out of you, you know? And we have this community. That's how. And we get pulled away from it, but fortunately, we're able to have these little fixes where we can get together and they happen right when they're supposed to, and exactly who is supposed to be there shows up. And who can't make it, it's understood, and they're loved and missed in spirit. They're there. So I don't know how any of this is going to look. This week I opened the cafe. I have been in my head about this for the last several months because a lot of various reasons. But I know what I'm called to do, and that's, to create a hangout spot for witchy people that just want to talk about. This morning I pulled this and it really freaked me out. And then my dog showed up and they had this card in their mouth, and I don't even know. What does it mean? Stuff like that, that it's like people that we understand each other because, yes, accepted for who we are, flaws and all, and beauty, and is we unapologetically authentically ourselves has been my is that's I mean that's I want to get away from all the stuff I've been shamed into, and all the program, all of it. And it's everywhere. I live in the Midwest, and I'm it's up to here, you know, when mega nation Trump's and they're that, and they're not spiritually open, and it very Christian. So having a place that, and I know that I'm not alone. I know that there are a lot of people that feel like they can't connect. And so that's why, and I opened the cafe because we had always had in Bright and Dark, and then as I got into the foundations program, a social community, and it's gone in so many different directions, but it was always a place to gather. Now it's as the foundation program steps away from that, and focuses strictly on shadow work. I, I want to keep the cafe going, and it's just a place, as Jen Marie just put in the comments, it's like it's only open to foundation members at this point. And I don't know, that may be how it is and how it looks forever and ever and ever. Or 6 months on, I don't know. But for now, it's just a safe place to go to hang out. I have scheduled events and tarot talks, and it's like I don't know everything. I don't know nothing about tarot. I just finished the class this morning, to be honest. So, but you might have a really good book that you read, and we're reading books in there that are also geared for, you know, everywhere from nonviolent communications. I'm going to be picking I as ready. So I'm gonna, hopefully we can all have conversations about that, as well as witchy books that, I've took, since the book club is not under the foundations program. It's just, if anybody wants to read, let's get a book club going in there, and it's the 23rd, but everything is always foundation meetings and everything take precedence, but we can always hang out there afterwards, and because 2 hours is never long enough for us to talk. So it's just but all I did was put it out there in the Discord. It's like, well, I'll just put it out there in the invite, and if anybody wants to join, they can join, and nobody's really going to want to join, and all that stuff, the shadow work kind of stuff. So I didn't promote it. I wasn't sure how it was going to feel. And so now it's like, as Jen was saying, all of, those of us that have been in the program a couple of years, we are fully embracing our calling, and my calling is to just have a gathering place. So just think of a coffee house you can swing by on your way home from work, or because there was nothing good on TV at 8 o'clock that night, and anybody can start a meeting in there. So there you go. It's a Discord community, and I will put the link in the members section of just the general in there in Teams. There you go. That's the word I was looking for, in Teams. So unless Jen or Akasha or Maria have a better place that they'd like to tell me to stick it. Sorry, I cracked myself up.
Thank you, Karen. I am, as soon as Karen started talking, immediately started getting a bunch of stuff. And so my higher self is, I describe them as they have big revolutionary kind of energy. And they really like a soapbox, and they're really, really, really intense. And there's so much energy around this that I can already feel myself start to flush just thinking about it, and the importance of a decentralized community. And us are Bright and Dark, when we decided to decentralize the community that was forming through these relationships that we're building through sacred space and all of these, ways that we connect. It was not a decision that was made lightly. Like, that was such a we understood the impact, but also, I understand the importance of it. You can't have a flat structure in a centralized, um dynamic, like community dynamic. Does that make sense? There's always going to be someone at the top telling everyone what to do. And I am not that guy, and I refuse to be that guy. Right. And we are all deconstructing from dominion based social conditioning. So it makes us really, really uh, susceptible to that like hierarchical dynamic. It almost makes us feel safe. And so by empowering individual witches on their own like journeys, like Karen, right? Karen has that passion to hold that space, and Karen like needs to be doing that. And so by positioning Bright and Dark as a space to support individual witches launching, we're connecting community, but in a flat structure, right? Everyone's doing this like powerful thing in their own space, in their own communities, and in their local communities. And all witches need is a feeling signature to make magic happen. And when we come into spaces like this, where we are authentic and we are vulnerable and real and supportive, and when we go to uh, gatherings like what we do at the convergences, and we're able to actually authentically and sincerely feel what connection is, we take that with us home to our local communities, and we can build that in our local communities, and that's really important. There's so many of us that have this like, you know, uh, feeling that all we need to do is just collectively buy a bunch of land and get out of the city and do our own thing. And then everything's going to be great. And yeah, with the right deconstruction, we could absolutely do that. But what about our cousins that are still in the city that need to uh, represent witches in the city, right? If we all keep going into hiding, there's the word, I don't know what the word is. It's not is it complacency? If we remove ourselves from the problematic stuff, who is there to help those and be that like light, that contrast of like, hey, there's another option. We can do this other thing. If we all just leave, like, right, it makes this right. How do the others find us if we all go into hiding? And this is something that I've been talking about for decades, and have been met with a lot of resistance for decades within the magical community, because there are so many witches in hiding. And I get it. I'm not going to shame anyone out of the closet, but at the same time, at what point do our people need us as magical practitioners, right? Even though they don't recognize that they are our like people, uh, magical practitioners have a place in even in modern society. Uh, we're just not recognized yet. They don't see us because so many of us are hiding or over sensationalized. Go ahead. I think Ezra, are you next? Yes. There you go.
Am I next? I didn't see anybody else hands. Okay. So yeah, that's like a huge, that's like definitely like the choice point, isn't it? It's like, can you, if you have the resources, like get to a place, you know, that like, even if that place existed and you, like, I've looked into intentional communities before, And so there are some, I don't know if there are specifically, or how many specifically like witchy intentional communities there are. But if you can get there and you can do that, and like just, I think there's like the in and then there's the out. It's like the breathing thing, the balance that we're all talking about. And like, I think that there's a lot of people that are in a hermit phase, and that is totally valid. And like, they need to have that in order to maybe one day be able to go out again. And like, I feel like I'm personally like coming out of a hermit phase. I think I had a long hermit phase, and I'm like, okay, now it's safe to come outside again. And I came back to Florida, where I'm from. I was born and raised in the city that I'm in now. And I left to Seattle for a couple years, and then I came back. And at some point, I kind of like had to make a decision, like, do I want to stay here for a good while? And is this like, do I want to find the others, like they said? Like, do I want to? And I think I am like starting to figure out how to do that. And that for me is like a very like fun and fulfilling thing. But for a long time I did like just stay hidden away. Like we're taught, like the more I learn about what it is to be magic, like it is very clear to me that our social conditioning is specifically meant to make sure that we don't realize it in a lot of ways. And so it is, because I like a good story, I think it's like kind of part of the story, if you choose to make it so, for you to discover again that you are magic. And for me personally, I would really like to help other people discover that in themselves, rediscover it. But that is not like, but I also like, even though sometimes I can get like a little frustrated, like I've had a lot of friends that, they leave, and I can get a little frustrated with that because, they're not there anymore. They're not my close by. They're not, helping me where I am, but that's just where they are on their path, and that's not wrong at all. And if I just kind of keep doing my thing here, I feel like there is a reason that my like soul chose to be a queer Jew in Florida at this time period when all of this was happening, And so that feels like right in a way. And if it doesn't feel right, or you don't know what it is, what it even feels like for something to feel right yet, then that's, what you got to work on until you know which path you want to go on, if that makes sense. That's all I had to say for now.
Thank
Go ahead,
you,
Valerie.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I was next. Yeah, this conversation kind of reminds me, like, especially when we're talking about cities or going into hiding. When I used to live in the UK for like a year, that's when I kind of started exploring witchcraft. And it is very interesting how different it is there, because there's so many, like there's a whole area in London where there's just witchy bookshops and cafes and just so many, even just witch supply stores. And I was, and in Colchester, a little bit of a smaller, no, much smaller city, um, there was a whole community with workshops and very different activities that you could participate in. And after I moved back to the US, it was so hard to find something similar, especially while I was living in the South, in Alabama, almost non-existent. And this is the first time I've found a community of witches since moving back to the US. And I'm just happy to be here, to be honest. That's all I had to say.
Thanks, Valerie. Lopezi, you are next.
Oh, hi. Um, hi. Can you guys hear me? Is this working? Yes. Okay, great.
Yes.
So just a quick note, because I don't exactly have organized thought, and now I'm feeling kind of panicky. But as Jen Marie pointed out, I do have a store that began as a vintage store, an oddity store. It's not specifically a curated metaphysical store, but the scary part is when you're talking about community. Sorry, one second. I just felt like I was alone and starving for a really long time. Like I had no community. Growing up here, it's just churches and nothing else. So when I started finding pockets of people with community and trying to, say, hello, I'm here, I need you, I felt like I was getting thrown back out. Like when you come in with that starving intensity, it comes from a very genuine place where you want to make bonds and you want to spiritually heal. But a lot of people are not quite ready for the intensity of that connection. And I realized that some of these pockets were just about social hierarchies. Does that make sense? And so I found it even more deeply wounding to be rejected by these groups. So trying to put myself out there as a nervous type of person, right, has been terrifying, but I'm absolutely pushed to it by that, starvation. So, and I'm going to wrap this up. It is interesting to force yourself into a position. I'm going to use the word leadership, and I hate that word because I feel like such an ugly human, right? And when you put yourself in that position, people can see all of that, and everyone has opinions. You know what I mean? But I think the important thing is just offering a place, and it is very scary because you don't want that attention, right? Or those people's opinions to make your wounding even worse. But what I've experienced is all these people coming in from different points of view, different perspectives, and the ones that are willing to look past you being an ugly human come to the table and just talk. I don't have any more, I guess, to say about it other than, yes, you guys are right. It is terrifying. It is lonely. And I don't know when I'm eventually going to be noticed by the church community because so far it hasn't happened. But when it does start to happen, like with people coming from the similar starvation lonely point, that is beautiful. So what you guys have experienced in those safe places, when you've gotten together and you've had the magic of being in your own company, that is unique and amazing. And I would just thank you for enacting it, initiating it, making it actually exist in this world, because there are so many of us out there trying to find you. All right, that's my contribution. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm joking. Thank you so much for that. And we're so happy to have you here and that you came to SASS today. Kat, you are next.
Hi, I'm so excited I can actually join this week. But yeah, she touched on something that I find really important, Ezra did, about what feels right. And I think that's where it's important to have communities like this where we can have these open and honest discussions with each other, because we all come from different experiences, we all come from different backgrounds, we all have different ways of looking at things. So sharing those experiences gives us a level of feeling of community, but also as a community, not really comparing, but sharing those experiences helps us realize what right feels like within us as well. It's like we're conditioned to not share our certain experiences. So there's experiences that you have that you feel are normal. And I'm just going to give like a very basic example, like your vision. I, for years, squinted and squinted and squinted at the blackboard because I thought that's what people did. they squinted and they can't read it and they can't take notes, and everyone's experiencing this. And to find out through a prop for a play, I was in charge of putting a pair of glasses for a prop for the play. And for giggles, I put them on just to see what would happen. And I could suddenly see. And I was like, wait, this is different. Like, how did I not know that I was different? And it's because we don't share those experiences. Like if I had talked to somebody and said, hey, can you read the blackboard? I can't. Then I would have known earlier on, but we're so taught to not share those experiences. And I think I love our community for the fact that we can share these things and that we can just talk about things and just get a feeling for ourselves and a community what it all feels like and have that sense of community. Ta-da.
Thank you, Kat.
Kat,
Ne-
could I just say real quick? I really like the comparing versus sharing. Like that makes a lot of sense to me. Like that just made my brain happy because like we were talking a lot about recently, like comparison as the thief of joy. And like when you compare yourself to others, how that makes you feel. Whereas I feel like when you said that, it made me feel like sharing like is joy. And so I just felt like sharing that. Thank you for that, Kat. That was really good.
Thanks, Ezra. Miss Stickle is next on the lineup.
Oh, hello, peoples. Um, Lopez, I just wanted to say thank you because every time I raise my hand, my heartbeat starts coming up into my throat and getting faster and faster and faster until I put my hand down, not saying anything. So I get panicky as well. And I have all these thoughts, they're all over the place. And I feel like I can only really talk if I have something specific and grounded and intelligent to say. But I wanted to chime in about, panicky. Oh, breathe. I wanted to chime in about moving to a new area and being that new person. I am a body worker and I work with a chiropractor who has a lot of connections to a very Christian world, and that Christian world is a very what's the word? Like we have Mennonites, we have Amish people coming in, and the thing is that they're also very herbal, and they're bringing in these things that they're finding from the forest, tinctures and an old knowledge that I just covet so much, and it's so beautiful. And it takes every single bit of willpower in me to not call them out as witches because it's like they totally are. They're just calling themselves a different thing. But I'm finding myself gravitating towards that community to a certain extent, of course. I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Women Talking. It's a beautiful movie about women in the Mennonite community that are coming up with how to deal with a certain evil that has come up in their community. It's a true story and it's fantastic. But okay, my adrenaline's coming back up again. Just wanted to stay on target, but really my ADHD brain is just everywhere. Yeah, I did want to say in this community of mine that I'm finding, I have a lot of people that are gravitating towards me as well. And they're showering me. I mean, especially in the Midwest, they shower you with presents. They bring like baked goods and tinctures um and just so much generosity. And I feel obligated And it's driving, like, I have a gift for bringing people together. I think that I have a tendency to be a conduit of sorts. Like, I give a lot of energy to other people that ask me for it. And then people somehow come to me to fill my cup. And I don't know how to turn around and give that back to the people that haven't asked me for it. And I start feeling obligated, start wondering if I'm doing enough, if I need to reach out and reciprocate, when that's just not how I work. I help people that come to me and ask for help. And that's been weighing on me lately, just trying to figure out how to communicate these in this community and not feel ashamed for not being like a normal human being. I don't know. So I think I'm going to let it go to the next person. Is that you, Alicia? Are you the next person in line?
Yes.
I think so, unless I can't see someone else.
Yes, it's you.
Okay. I think I love how this is all kind of tying together. I just keep getting this impression. I don't know how many of you are known or in or out of the LDS culture, or how much of potlucks. Potlucks are such a big thing, yeah. But you know, when you go to a potluck, everyone brings a little piece of something of themselves that they're good at making, it that they can make quick and easy, and then it feeds everybody. And that's kind of what this feels like, is that we all get to bring a piece of ourselves here, and it doesn't matter what it is. Someone is going to have an interest in it. Someone's going to learn something new. Like, they're going to taste something they've never experienced before, or they're going to, you know, even if it's just an itty bitty bit, it's like, oh, even if you're just listening, even if you can't bring anything. Sometimes I've been to potlucks where I didn't know it was potluck. I didn't bring anything, but I was still able to partake. And I know from my experience, since I think I've been watching SASS Mass in the shadows for almost a year now. It's been almost exactly a year. And then I got involved, I think in December, I signed up, and then I got my first broom box in January. So I've been doing this process, and it hasn't really been until the convergence and right around that time frame where I was like, I really feel like I actually know myself now well enough that I know what something I can offer, that I feel like, oh, I can actually, I think actually probably that topic when you talked about the trees, Jen Marie, I feel like, oh, someone else understands. Like, I can connect that. That's something I have to offer. Like, I do that. I understand that. That's a language I can speak. And so sometimes it just takes sitting back and eating, you know, that whole starving thing. I loved that starving. I feel like I felt like that a lot. Like, I feel like I'm too much for people for the most time, because I have been starving. I've been starving for a community of people who aren't just going to say, oh, you're weird. Like, Jen Marie, when you were talking to me up there at the convergence, and I was like, I never thought of it in the way when you said you've probably felt ostracized in some way for your whole life because of how I pick up on things. And I'm like, you know, it was so normal for me that I didn't even cross my mind that's what I was feeling and experiencing. And that whole thing of starvation, you know, it's just, yeah, when you're starving, you're going to grab handfuls and you're going to say, oh, this is, and you're going to yell and this is amazing, everybody come and see this, and you just want to shout out to the world, look, there's food here and you can feast and it's wonderful. And then after you've been here at the table for a little bit, you're like, okay, and you kind of feel moderated, and you kind of feel like, you know, you're starting to get into it. It's going to still be here. It's not going away. And it's a marvelous feeling to finally feel like I'm getting to that point where I'm like, oh, I can actually, it's like, it's real. It's not going away. It's not an illusion in my head. And so, yeah, it's been fantastic. And so for those who've just joined, the journey is bumpy. It is not easy. Lots of things come up, but it is so worth it. It is so worth it. So anyway, that's my 2 bits in there.
Verity has a weigh-in.
Hi, my weigh-in is for hello, is my of course I'm terrible with names, but the person who spoke just before, and talking about how people bring you wonderful gifts and you feel like you need a way to reciprocate, but you don't have the ability, or can't find something, or can't figure it out. You have the ability, but whatever it is. And the only thing that struck me was that when you give a gift, or anybody gives a gift, or some people give a gift, like when I give a gift, I don't give a gift to receive something back. I mean, I will say that a smile is very nice. I mean, when you have somebody that you talk about give, 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 and they just take is different than receiving. And if they're giving so that you can receive, they're giving from the heart, especially if they're a Mennonite community. It really is a beautiful community, all about work of their hands and stuff. I may not agree with everything, but they do have a lot of beauty in their belief system. And I don't think you need to worry about what you give back to them, because your enjoyment of what you receive in their gift, it's very special. And those who give to give really appreciate that more than waiting for something in return. That's all I wanted to say, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Verity. And we have I
Me.
saw Jen Marie with your hand up,
Me.
and then
It's
Ezra.
me.
Yes, hello, Jen Marie.
Okay, so much. I love that you brought up the gift thing. Because how many of you are awkward with gift giving and gift receiving? By show of like hearts, react, or you can like wave your hand or whatever, right? Like, we are taught such like fucking weird shit about gift giving. Um, at least in American culture, there's so much like pressure about gift giving. There is so much that is all like twisted up in there. Deconstructing your relationship with gifting, both receiving and giving, is going to change your whole world. When you start looking at it from a magical perspective, um, so let me back up. Story time. When I first started working as a high priestess in the witchcraft community, people would bring me gifts. And this was when I was managing a community house. So there were lots of people that lived there, and we always had these like magical functions and rituals and workshops and things. And people would bring gifts. They were free magical workshops and functions and things like that. And I never asked anyone for gifts or payment or anything. And I was really weird about receiving them, to the point that I didn't truly receive them. I would just put them on the mantle in the community house and let everyone know that it was like, if you need it, you can, take it, kind of a thing. And then I really started kind of maturing in my relationship with that when I started to realize and witness um, how that relationship blocked flow, because I was resistant to offerings of generosity. I was resistant to generosity, right? And I wasn't valuing what I was giving to the community. And those gifts were a way for them to support me in the not just like physical labor, but the emotional and spiritual labor of what I was doing as well. And a lot of traditions have that gift giving, that they address this relationship with giving and receiving. Like even in Norse traditions, which are like super intense, gift giving and receiving is a very important thing to allow that to be free flowing. I've seen a lot of, and I have this conversation with anyone that does community facilitating, um, and they don't charge, right? When they do free things, uh, it is really important to be mindful as a practitioner, when you show up to a free of charge event in a physical space, um, that costs someone something, right? It is an expense, physical, emotional, spiritual. It's an expense, right? And if we don't support those that are following their calling and so openly trusting their path, it creates a vacuum and it sucks the energy out of them. Uh, we are responsible for keeping that going. If it is a support to us, all of us contributing and helping, again, support those practitioners that feel called to making that very important space. That's I can't tell you how important that is. I can't tell you how many witches I've seen burn out because they've poured everything into giving these spaces and not getting anything, any kind of support, and they just literally cannot do it anymore. And we don't want to do that, right? And when we're looking at like friendship kinds of gift exchanges, the more you can practice having those like free flowing, I give gifts when I feel called to give gifts, and I receive graciously when gifts are given. The more of those kinds of relationships you can have, that is a feeling signature that affects your manifestation dial, right? Does that make sense? Because you're holding the feeling of this like reciprocal free flowing with regards to generosity specifically, right? uh, those are feeling signatures that we want to like hold on to as much as we can. I have so many relationships with witches that we just like send each other shit all the time. uh, Random things. I saw this feather and thought of you, and here you go. This is the story behind it. And I have an entire altar filled with that kind of stuff. And you can do that too. If you are feeling called to look at your relationship with gifting, which it sounds like you might be, um, there are a few questions that you can start asking yourself of like, what do I find valuable for like as a gift? Or you can open it up to your guides and be like, hey, what can I make and have on hand for gifts of gratitude when I feel inspired? Like that is like the spruce tip syrup that I made this last year. I knew that that was going to be a gifting thing. So I made a whole batch and I've been giving them to people that I feel called to give to. You can do that as a witch. You can have some sort of something special, ask your guides to show you, and just like follow through with that and just have it on hand. Um, I hope that helped. I thought that I had something else, but I don't remember now. So I'm going to just like, boop.
Ezra.
Hi. So this is about that. Um, I'm sorry, I just want. So let's see. I just wanted to like. I also have an issue. Have a problem. Or have had a problem with accepting gifts. I used to feel like there was an obligation. Yeah, Jennifer is nodding. Yeah. So, and that's actually it. I think it is related to my like money block that I've been healing a lot of, and it's definitely related to that. And I actually had like a breakthrough like last week where I was just kind of talking about it and kind of said like at some point I decided money was bad and I shouldn't have it. And that is just like the belief that has been walking around with me and like protecting me from money. And so because I decided it was bad and I shouldn't have it. And so similarly, gifts always represented like money that was being spent on me or time that was being spent on me. And it's like Marshall Rosenberg, who wrote Nonviolent Communication, has this poem that I wanted to share that really like broke through to me when I read it for the first time, which is, I never feel more given to than when you take from me, when you understand the joy I feel giving to you, and know that my giving isn't done to put you in my debt, but because I want you to live the love I feel for you. To receive with grace may be the greatest giving. There's no way I can separate the two. When you give to me, I give you my receiving. And when you take from me, I feel so given to. I hope that touches you the way that it touched me. So. I'm not sure who was next. So, and I'm probably going to have to hop off, but Maria may know.
We have
Well,
Chana.
then, can I talk to Ezra about that for a second? I
Oh,
hope you
sure.
won't mind, Shanna.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And I love nonviolent communication. I have been studying it for about a while. I
Yay.
just wanted to say, what? Sorry.
I just said yay.
Okay.
I didn't know I was unmuted.
I think my issue around the gifting and receiving is coming from a deeper relationship that I've talked about before here, and it's still really bothering me. It's my best friend of 30 years, my witch girlfriend, my sister. And she's saved me through so many things, through some really dark times when I had an abortion, and she was there for me during 2020 when I freaked out under lockdown, and I stayed with her both times. So she's really given me a lot. And then recently she told me she needed me, and my cup was not full enough. I couldn't be there for her. And she's so angry. She's so angry at me, but I tried to let her know, you can ask of me and I will give you what I can, but I can't. And then we haven't talked for 4 months, and she's on my mind every day. And I'm so tumultuous about the whole thing. It's just, it won't leave me alone. I wish I could be there for her. I really do. But there's just so many things that I've been going through, and I just didn't have the ability to be there for her the way she wanted me to be there for her. And she was rejecting me when I told her how I could show up for her. So now I'm just terrified of taking anything from anybody else because of that situation. She turned it into an obligation. I did this for you, so where are you for me? And she couldn't accept. So when you're saying this about the nonviolent communication, it's such a beautiful poem, and I wish she felt that way, but she just doesn't, and it kills me. And I'll put my hand down.
I understand that so much. Through learning nonviolent communication, I also lost a friend because I could not give them what they wanted from me. And that is a very difficult loss. And I think they'll probably come back. But it's okay if they don't. And I'm saying this for me, not like entirely, but that they're just not there yet, and sometimes our paths diverge in a wood. and then sometimes they come back together. But it makes sense that you're terrified. It's really scary to lose people that matter a lot to you. Thank you for sharing that with me. That was a feeling I've had too. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna quickly just double check who is next. I believe that Chana, you are next.
Um, so I was thinking, like along all of that, that my experience with relationships, primarily friendships, has always been that I have to earn the relationship by giving all my time, all my talents, all my whatever. And if I don't, if I put my foot down, then they leave. When I'm worn out, you know, when the cup is empty and it's like I just can't be at your beck and call, that then suddenly they're gone, you know, because they were there for whatever I could do for them. And so consequently, I've learned, you know, and my family is kind of that way too. And so that's just kind of been my experience, that relationships are what I can give, how I earn them, or I pay for them. So I've spent a lot of money on recently paying for psychic readings, nights with like group sessions, things like that, just to have connection. But it's funny because I work really closely with Freya, and so I was in home or like Home Goods or Marshalls or something, and I'm like, you know, I haven't really done anything for I didn't go looking for deity worship. She's actually my main spirit guide, which is kind of funny how that came about. Um, but I haven't really done any like deity, like an altar or anything for her. Anyway, but I was in Marshall's. I'm like, you know, I really should at least get her a candle, like a dedicated candle for her. And I'm picking them up and I'm like, going, do you like this one? Do you like this one? Kind of muscle testing a little bit for him to kind of see. And I just keep going, no, 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 no. And I'm like getting a little frustrated. And I'm like, do you even want a candle? And very clearly in my mind, the answer was no, because I'm trying to teach you that not every relationship is transactional. And I went, oof. That's when you know it doesn't come, like it's not your own imagination, that somebody's clearly telling you something, because that is not something I ever would have popped up with. But that was really a wake-up call for me, that that's how I view relationships. I won't get in like in the, even with Brian Dark, I will get on here and talk because I, you know, I don't know, because I need to. And then I'll get off and be like, oh crap, I took up too much space. And because I didn't offer something, do you know what I mean? Like, it's because I have learned that relationships are transactional, that if I want something, I've got to give twice as much. So I think that's kind of, I think maybe a lot of us kind of have fallen into that. It's like into that trap of we want to give, but
that it just becomes more of a transactional thing as opposed to an obligation instead of I want to give you this because I love you and care about you, you know. And even if we give it with no strings attached, we feel like anything we give comes with strings, or anything we receive comes with strings attached. And I just thought, it's kind of, I don't know what kind of wound that comes from, but it seems like maybe a few of us are kind of in that same boat. Anyway, that was it. Karen Marie.
Jenna, I fucking love that. The top of my page, I wrote down transactional versus transformational. It is so, I mean, we are programmed. I was in sales for a lot of years. Next time you go buy something expensive, pay attention to how freaking nice they are. Would you like a bottle of water? Here, I've got a really nice pen for you. These are really classic. Here, would you like this little, and we have these little gifts for purchase. Those are all because they know that that's guilting us. You're going to buy the stupid overpriced whatever thing that they're sticking under your nose because they gave you that nice pen and the bottle of water and the handsome little tote bag. It's the psychology of it, is it? And I'd love to know where that became part of, or where it got muted from giving, became that if you didn't give back, which culture or where that came from, that it's like, well, now you have to, I did this for you. I mean, it wasn't always that way, but it is something that is so well known and it is so ingrained in us that it is it's not a secret in the sales community how to manipulate people into buying your useless crap, is to give them more useless crap and just make it sound really impressive. So yeah, that's why I always, when people are gifting to me, especially people with Christian, it's like, and you mentioned that movie. I saw that movie, When Women Speaks to, oh no, couldn't even watch the end of it. But you know, I'm leery and suspicious of people that have other beliefs like that. Why are you giving me something? It's like, do you want me to come to your church? Do you want me to donate? Because I give at the office, that kind of thing. I'm always suspicious when someone is trying to give me something. I'm not so suspicious if you just sit down and have a cup of coffee with me or we spend some time. But, and that's kind of how I've been looking at things, as transformational. Because, yeah, I don't know shit. That's the lesson that I've been hearing a lot today, is I don't know anything. And the older I get, the less I know. But a reason, a season, or a lifetime, I say that all the time. The OGs are tired of me saying it, but Mystical, you have a community of people that are, available and here to support and listen. And I've been in places in my life where I didn't have the spoons to reciprocate when other people had helped me. And it's not, I understand you. It is not a tit for tat thing. And if that's racist or sexist, I apologize. But thanks, Petra. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm just trying to work from a transformational, because at this point I've had lots of money and I've had no money. And right now I have nothing, very little that I can give more than my time these days. And that feels so good for me right now. Everyone shows up who's supposed to, and I'm sure your friend is going to have the people that they need to show up for them. Maybe I shouldn't know. It's not your responsibility, sweetie. And maybe I'm not supposed to say, I don't, we can't be there for everybody. But showing up for ourselves first is what enables us to be able to help anybody else. So if that makes any sense. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up. Love you guys.
Thank you, Karen. So I am next. I also like looked at the time and it's almost 2 hours have gone by. That went by fast. I just had like a few thoughts and just to like a reminder that like we're all like sharing our own perspectives, and if something resonates with you, then that's awesome, and if it doesn't, that's okay too. And I say that preface because of what I'm about to say. So what we have done, at the foundations program is like create this space to examine our conditioning from society and from family. And that shit is deep. It's real. And it's like it's there really in all of us. I mean, I haven't met one person yet that it's not there somehow, some way, or that you think you've kind of been examining it and then something comes up and you're like, oh, okay, another layer, another like place to examine. And that, having a community, whether you're just popping into SASS every week or whether you're doing the foundations program, to just give you that support, to just know that you're not alone, and that having, I feel that nobody knows what's best for me than me. Nobody knows better what's best for me than me. Hands down, like, no discussion. But I look for support and information. Well, maybe my guides, humans, say no other human, I should say that. As an adult, not talking about minors or children. That's another conversation. And more shadow work and more deconstruction. But anyhow, just speaking of me as an adult human, I feel that I've had to do the deconstruction and the shedding of the layers to like really be able to speak my authenticity and be like confident in it. And sometimes relationships don't get, sometimes relationships just kind of fade, because I realized that by setting some boundaries and by energetically kind of leaning into the things I felt were in alignment with me, some things weren't. That's not to say that I didn't grieve those things, because even if something isn't for you going forward, I've still tried to help, or now try to hold the space to still grieve for those losses, because they are a loss. And I hope it doesn't sound cliche, but sometimes you have to let go to let all of the stuff let everything in, the stuff that you've been maybe asking for, or the things that you feel are more in alignment. And sometimes that's relationships. And I say that not lightly, because that's not easy. Like, so I feel like it's so interesting to hear all of you talk about it and the similarities, and also knowing that we're entering into like the winter months and the inward turn, and these like relationships are being, like examined, and not like surprising that we're like kind of digging in a little bit of deeper on the inward stuff. And yeah, I think just the most helpful thing for me is just been like recognizing that a lot of the guilt that I was experiencing was like put on me. And did I like really feel that way? And examining control, like why am I trying to control this situation? Like why am I trying to hold on to this? And yeah, I just like kind of being here in these spaces, because I just think it creates the space for you to think about it, and to know that like there are people that will support you. The idea that we have to figure shit out on our own is like not cool. It's not cool. So that's all. Thank you. And Jen Marie.
That was very tidy. We're getting very close to the end of our meeting. One thing I wanted to briefly touch on is that a lot of us have this idea that when people leave our lives, that closure needs to happen, that we need to like sever ties or whatever, and that is like what is best. And a lot of times what I've found is my own tendency to do that was a trauma response of like I was trying to keep myself safe by like cutting that off. Not all relationships require that cutting off. Some do, right? But sometimes these friendships go like this, right? Your paths will go in different directions for a little while. And then you will remember, or that relationship will be highlighted again and you come back. You're allowed to continue to love someone even though they're not a part of your life right now, or uh, their path has taken them somewhere else. Learning to trust our path helps us learn to trust others' paths as well, right? And not be in resistance to, like, if someone isn't responding, right? If they're ghosting us for whatever reason, being okay and saying, all right, that person's path has taken them elsewhere, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that I am bad or wrong. It doesn't mean that uh you don't have to apply morality to that. That is their own thing, right? Um but it's hard to learn how to practice that and to let go. And you can again let go and still love someone. There was something else too. Um but oh, yeah. Did you guys know that I have a workshop every month on the 16th that is 100% intuitive and dependent on whoever shows up? Like, it is so highlighted right now that uh, I let you guys know that there is an intentional space that we gather together as witches. We collectively dial into the flow of whatever it is that we are experiencing and actually have conversations about it and work through it. And they have been incredibly transformative, but we haven't been talking a lot about them, and they are open to the public. So you can, and a lot of the conversation flow is very similar to this because that's kinda like who I am. So, and how I do a lot of, like, the workshops and things that I do. But I think that it's important to, again, provide that space that we as magical practitioners can learn how to collectively ground down, communicate with our guides, and actually interpret what is in the collective flow and what we need to, like, work through. So I would love to see you guys there if you're wanting to join. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes we end up like the conversations can be like anything. We have gone into like how to create spellcrafts before, how to do channeling, or like it depends on who shows up. And that's why we call it that. So there's that. Um,
So
we're
Jen Marie,
starting. Go
question
ahead.
on how they get in there. So if you just go to brightanddark.org, our drop down, you'll see workshops. It's called Showing Up. And it's right now it's at 6 p.m. Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern. And it's held the 16th of every month. And it's like a standalone workshop. So you can just come to one. and you can sign up for more, but there's no like prerequisite to join. You can just join anytime. And you can email support at brightanddark.org if you have any issues like with the website, getting the link or anything like that. Thank you.
We are about to begin this inward turn that we're talking about. Well, those of us in the northern hemisphere are about to begin this inward turn that is so important to our lives as magical practitioners. We are connected to the environment that we are a part of. And this is something that I've been learning from the trees lately, is that the more we lean into this and the more we learn how to be good advocates for our system and allow this introspective time and actively support this introspective time, the better we're all going to be. And providing supports like this, spaces like this, where we can come together and share a little bit of light during the dark times, I think is really powerful. So thank you for everyone that showed up today. And this is so exciting. In the coming week, may your practice be expansive and filled with many blessings, bright and dark. I love you guys. Bye. Ta-da.